Okay, so welcome everybody to this webinar entitled How to Host a Webinar in Google Hangouts Live on Air. And I am really excited to have you guys here. And everybody says that when they start a webinar. They're like, I'm so excited. And the truth is the people who are watching your webinar don't really care how excited you are. They just want you to get on with it. But I just figured I'd tell you I really am excited. And you're going to be excited too, I think, when we get to the end of the webinar. And I hope you stay with me all the way through to the end. Normally, I'm always like, yeah, don't worry about it. If you can't come, just catch the replay. But I've got some really cool stuff for you guys at the end. Everybody's going to be offered something really cool. And one person in particular is going to get something really cool. So hopefully I have tantalized you to stay with me to the very end. All right, so just really quickly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself before we get to the information part, and I promise it'll be quick. I live in Shaker Heights, Ohio with these cutie pies. And this, I always like to include this quote because it really just sums up my beliefs and my philosophy about social media and marketing and the times that we're living in right now. And I know this, I'm going to read it, but I'm telling you, I know this by heart because I say it all the time. How can you squander even one more day not taking advantage of the greatest shifts of our generation? How dare you settle for less when the world has made it so easy for you to be remarkable? I totally agree with that. And maybe one of my other philosophies is, or something that I say a lot, is that you're not behind. These are still early days. And, you know, the fact that you're in this webinar right now, learning and trying to figure stuff out, puts you ahead of so many people who don't even know what a webinar is, much less are sitting in one right now. So, so I like to say that because it's encouraging, right? I mean, it seems like people are blazing by us left and right, and some people are, but still, I mean, you know, the fax machine just got here like yesterday. So this is totally, totally new stuff. All right. I started a local marketing company here in Shaker Heights, Ohio, about 2 years ago. And I loved it. And I basically did what I'm doing now, which is helping entrepreneurs and small business owners learn how to use social media and digital tools to grow their business. And I completely loved it and really enjoyed it. But the problem is I was at capacity in less than 8 months. Because it's very, you know, intensive when you're one-on-one. So I'm really thrilled about the idea of rebranding and moving my business to jenlehner.com and being 100% online with my business, because I can really, you know, reach so many more people with my message and my enthusiasm for all these great resources that are at our fingertips. And sorry, my phone is going off. That's lesson number 1, turn off your phone. Okay, so gone are the days of wishing and hoping that somebody would discover us and come into our business and see all the great things that we have to offer. We have the tools to bring about the outcome that we want. And webinars are one of the greatest tools that I've come across and have allowed me to grow my list exponentially and pretty quickly too. And the people on my list are people who want the information that I have to offer. So in other words, these are people who are my ideal client audience. So today, this is what we're going to learn. Webinars, a list, how to pick a webinar checklist, step by step, like really detailed, very detailed directions on how to set up your webinar, how to make sure you do not accidentally disconnect, and how to repurpose your Hangout when it's over. So I got the most interesting question the other day, and it's funny because it was like so obvious, but I hadn't even thought about it when I sent out the promotion for this webinar. And the man said, "Why are you doing a webinar about Google Hangouts in Webinar Jam?" And this is why. I'm sure that did look awfully funny. Webinar Jam is actually sort of, and you'll see the logo and the branding on the webinar that you're watching right now. And what it's sort of an overlay to Google Hangouts, sort of a plugin, I guess. And it operates on top of Google Hangouts. So it's just got a lot more features. And one of the features that it has is the opportunity to inject a pre-recorded video. So this is really, and this is an amazing feature because if you think about the topic that we're covering today, if I want to show you how to actually go into Google Hangouts and, you know, press the start button and how to disconnect from the Hangout, I wouldn't be able to do that otherwise. So now I was able to do a pre-recorded step-by-step. And so now this webinar becomes sort of a hybrid webinar is what they're calling it. And so that is the answer to that question. And if you guys want more specific information about Webinar Jam, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, and I'm going to stick around until every single one of your questions are answered. So just save your Webinar Jam questions until the end. All right, so why do webinars? We all pretty much have the understanding now that in today's world, it's a whole nother, marketing is so changed, and I really think for the better. And it's all about giving your audience immense value and establishing a relationship of some sort so that people know you and like you and trust you, because people have always and will always do business with people who they know, like, and trust. And I'm sure that's been the case since, I don't know, since the cavemen were, you know, trading beans with each other. They did it with their favorite cavemen. And Google Hangouts, 100% free. You have the potential to reach a huge audience quickly and easily. And there's actually no limit to how many people can watch your webinar. And it doesn't cost you any more if 10,000 people watch your webinar or 10 people watch your webinar. And that's not the case. Like GoToWebinar is, I think the price is come down, and it's had to because of competitors like Webinar Jam and Google Hangouts. But they're like $300 to $500 a month. You guys can correct me, anybody who's using GoToWebinar. But so there's that. And then there's just not a better way to differentiate yourself. I can post on my blog all day. I can curate and share articles across all my social channels, which is really important. But at the end of the day, I know that when I can actually talk to my audience and demonstrate what I know, then you get a sense of who I am. And now I'm not just talking about something, I'm doing it. Like I'm walking the walk. So, you know, I'm going to take that opportunity every chance that I get. So what if you hate being on camera? Well, I'm not on camera right now, and I will be in a minute, and I was at the very beginning, but lots of people just do slides or the over-the-shoulder method where, like, you do a screen share and they're just showing their computer screen and walking through something, and that is absolutely fine. Just, you know, you don't get hung up on a webinar having to look a certain way or be a certain way. This is your canvas. I mean, if you want to stand in front of a camera and paint a picture set to music and not say a word, then that could be your webinar. If you want to, you know, if you want to crochet something, or, you know, I don't know, if you want to show the whole room and make it more of a like a talk show style format with a couch and some chairs and all that, you get the picture. So how do webinars grow my email list? Webinars grow your email list because it's basically like this. You put out to the world, you promote your webinar to your audience and say, hey, look what I'm offering. It's going to be great. And this is what you're going to learn. And then people say, hey, that sounds really good. Sign me up. And they sign up. With a tool, you can use a tool like Lead Pages, or even just a simple MailChimp form on your website for people to enter their email addresses to sign up. And ta-da, now you have your audience email addresses, and you can deliver helpful information directly to their inbox on a regular basis. So now you've established an opportunity to be the go-to person with your audience, and they will quickly grow to know, like, and trust you. So really, the question is not why do a webinar. Hopefully by now you're saying, why wouldn't I do a webinar? How do I pick a topic? So what are you good at? What do you know really, really well? Don't assume that it's something that's simple for your audience. Not everyone knows what you know. We all have something we can teach. I really believe that. I believe every single one of us has a lesson, a webinar, a course where we could teach somebody else something. But for your first webinar, I do recommend talking about something that you know very well. Ask your audience. If you don't really have an audience, you know, you can go and hop into different Facebook groups and just different areas on the web where your audience is congregating, and find out what they want to know. So what stuff do I need? So we always want to talk about stuff. You know, the truth is, I think a lot of times we talk about stuff to distract ourselves from like just doing it. So, you know, it's, you know, and I love shiny things as like more than anybody. I love a new gadget that's going to, you know, help me go faster or do better or whatever. But you don't need a ton of stuff for a webinar. However, if the aim of your webinars is to establish authority in your niche, then I really believe strongly that there are a few things you should not compromise and start off on the right foot right from the beginning. So just investing in a few things are going to make a huge difference. So mic. I have two really high quality mics that I love. I have a Blue Yeti, and all this is on my website at jenlehner.com. It's under Toolbox. And the Blue Yeti is great. And then I've also got a Snowball, and I travel with the Snowball, and because I can't remember why I travel with that one. I think it plugs into my MacBook Air more easily than the Yeti. And I travel with that one, and they both produce excellent sound quality. Otherwise, if you use your onboard, it's tin can, and it's just not pleasant to listen to. I think it's important to brand your webinar. And one of my favorite tools, and I put it in before everybody came in the room. If you scroll way up to the chat, you'll see a link to this company that does these unique backdrops. But if all you do is like, you know, want to pick a corner in your office, that's fine. Just make sure that corner of your office is appealing and it's neat and it's not cluttered. I'm always surprised, like when I log on and I see people's webinars sometimes, and you know, there's like dirty clothes in the corner and, you know, just really oddball stuff. So, you know, you certainly aren't going to establish any authority with that silly business going on in the background. And as far as branding, you know, I've seen people do some really interesting things. I mean, it could be just about a color, or it could be that your like thing is giant sunglasses or a little hat that you wear, or you keep a, you know, a bunny rabbit on your desk, you know, just something that really is your brand and differentiates you from the next guy. Camera, the camera that comes on your Mac is probably more than sufficient, but I really love this camera. It's like a little tiny add-on. It just sits right on top of my MacBook, on my desktop, and I paid like $100 for it, and now it's on sale for I think $60, but they always sell out, but then they always come back in stock. And I've got a link to that over there as well. It's a Logitech, but it gives a really nice quality picture. And lighting, probably one of the most important things. And I don't have a link to a lighting kit on my website, but if you just go to Amazon and type in lighting kit, all sorts of really reasonably priced stuff is going to pop up. And if you really are on a very tight budget and just can't afford to do that right now, I saw someone recently go to the hardware store and get sort of what looked like it looked kind of like a spotlight with a clamp on it. I think they cost like $12 or $15. It's the kind of thing that I guess if you're working in the dark and you're doing some sort of construction project, you could clamp it to a whatever to get your work done. And they set that up in such a way that it looked pretty good actually. So, you know, you can definitely rig your lighting if you have to. Ethernet cable. Okay, I lied. This is the most important thing. The Ethernet cable situation. Okay, it doesn't matter how good your Wi-Fi connection is. If you drop off for even 100th of a second, which is something you never notice otherwise, it will knock you off your webinar. And this actually happened to me yesterday when I was doing the test webinar and almost gave me a heart attack. But I was really glad that I did the test webinar because I learned that the location where I was just had spotty Wi-Fi. I was using an Ethernet connection and not spotty Wi-Fi, spotty internet. So I had to move all of my stuff out of my studio and into my house. And that's where I am right now. Okay. So here is a checklist, and this will be available after the fact, so you don't have to memorize it. But you need to know Gmail addresses of all your presenters if you're gonna have presenters join you on your webinar. You need this to invite them in, especially if they get disconnected during the show. Connect via Ethernet. Shut down all other programs before you start. Wear earbuds to eliminate echoes. Do a test call in advance. Practice. Really, practice your content, practice your connection, practice your functionality, everything. At live showtime, get in the room early. Kick everyone out of your house or your office or have them go offline so that they don't drain on your bandwidth. But really, I'm a fan of just not having anybody in the house or the office at all, because you just never know when someone's going to forget and blast the stereo or do something obnoxious. Close your windows and turn off your fan. Your fan doesn't seem so loud when it's in your room. You don't really pay attention, but when it hits your mic, it's like pierces your listeners' ears, and it really messes up your sound quality. Oh, I didn't know what that meant. I just added that at the last minute. Unplug landline. So take your landline phone out of the wall, because it's going to ring the minute that you start your webinar. Okay. So now we are this is where you're going to learn very, very specifically how to set up a webinar, okay? Soup to nuts, beginning to end. And I'm going to inject this video. And so I'm going to stop the screen share. And hi. All right, we've got 73 people in here. That's cool. And I'm going to go to the videos, load. And I will be able to see your questions while this is playing in the chat room. So go for it. So here we are in Chrome browser, and we are in Google Plus. And I'm on my Google Plus page, and I see a home button off to the left. I am going to hover over that, and then I'm going to scroll down to where it says Hangouts. And you'll notice across the top that it says Home, Hangouts on Air, and Video Hangouts. What's the difference? The Video Hangouts are a place where essentially the difference is that Video Hangouts are private and intimate, and Hangouts on Air are completely 100% public to the world. So what we're talking about today is Hangouts on the Air, and this is our webinar. So I clicked on that, and then it's taking me to create a Hangout on Air, this big yellow button. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to give it a name. And of course, we're just going to call this test right now. And then if this were a real webinar, we would give it a really nice detailed description of what the webinar is going to be all about. And we could choose to start it now or later. I'm going to choose now, and I've got my settings at public. And now we're going to click share. Okay, so it brings me to an event page, and what I do from here is a couple of things. One is if I click on the trailer button, it's going to allow me to upload or paste a link from a video trailer that I've created for the webinar. So it might be just a brief introduction and you talking to the camera about what they can expect to learn in the webinar. But for now, just to show you how to really get going right away, I'm going to click Start. I could type in people's names at this point to invite people to be guests. If I want other people to show up inside the webinar. In this particular case, this test webinar that we're doing, I am going to be the only one in the Hangout. So I'm not going to invite anyone, and I'm just going to click skip. Okay, so you can see that we are, here we are in the room, and then I'm going to show you what all the controls do, and just walk you through each piece of this webinar. Okay, so on the top right-hand corner, we could see that we're off the air, and then you could see this thing here that says smooth. Okay, if you miss everything that I'm saying in the webinar, don't miss the part about smooth, okay? I wish that I could walk around the world and have smooth on, because it just makes you look so much better. It just, it really does enhance the way you appear on the screen. If I click here, there's other, as you can see, these different settings. Spotlight's not bad if you have a background that you really want to blur out. You could even do it in black and white. That's kind of cool. I've never done that before. This is kind of cool. And then original. See, okay, look at the difference. Original, smooth. We like smooth. So we're going to keep that. All right. So those are these settings here. Okay, and over here to the left, you see this Google toolbox where it says Hangout Toolbox. It may be that you won't be showing that that option, so there'll be something on the screen, and of course I think if you click on these three dots, that's where it is. If you click on these three dots, you can add the toolbox if you don't have it, and anything else that's here, like if you don't have Google Effects, because sometimes those aren't automatically there, you click on these three dots and it'll show you, and you can add the app. So like I'm going to go ahead and add, there it is, the toolbox, and it only takes a second. So let me add draw. Okay, so I'm going to click draw, and then we have a few fun options in draw. One is we can add text. So I've got this for jenlehner.com. Okay, that might be overkill, but I'm just showing you like what you can do. Then we can go to stamp and have a ton of fun with this. So look at all these hilarious options. Okay, that's a little bit frightening. So we'll get rid of those. And then we could do this, and we can have a little bow tie. That is a whole lot of fun. So let me get rid of these, and then I'm going to go to turn it off. I'm just going to click on it again, and now we're going to look at I'm going to tell you, I don't do anything with Showcase. I do not do anything with Q&A, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. But I just want to tell you for now, I don't use Q&A because it has been known, this particular plugin, to cause a little bit of chaos, and you don't really need it. Then capture is, I don't ever use that either, but it's a screen capture. Okay, so, and the cameraman plugin is, this is what you would, these are some settings for if you did have a guest who was going to be joining you in the Hangout. Not your viewers, but your guests. And it says, as guests join, hide their audio and video from my broadcast, yes or no. And then broadcast the large video that I see to my audience and hide it. Hide the other video feeds, yes or no. And when new guests in my large broadcast are muted when they join, yes or no. So in Control Room, this allows you to control the guests who are in your room, their audio volume, and their whether or not their camera is on. I mean, let's suppose you had someone that was a guest and for whatever reason they didn't realize that they were being broadcast and they started swearing, or they didn't have any clothes on, or, you know, something, you could really quickly come in here and shut them down. You could turn off their mic and you could turn off their camera. That has never happened for me, so don't go in there too often. All right, and then Google Effects. This is the one, the draw plugin that we just played with was fun, but Google Effects is, Google Effects is really where I have most of my fun, and where all the really good stuff is, I think. So we could do things like we can change our background. So I am going to step out of the picture, click on the background. All right. And then, so it's not, I never use this because it's really not perfect. The background always tends to sort of bleed into your face. This one's pretty good because you can blur your background. And you can change the intensity. So this one can sometimes come in handy if you don't have like an ideal background. So I recommend that one. Let me turn it off though for now. And then there's fun things here. In fact, like last night we did a private hangout with my niece, and it was her birthday. So when she came into the room, I had this, and I had a cake. And you know, this seems silly, but I've seen Mari Smith do a webinar on her birthday, and she totally had the cake and the hat, and it was so cute. And you know, it just adds a bit of interest to your webinar, a little personality. And then there's cool sound effects. So if you need some applause for yourself or one of your guests, like when they enter the room, and then drama. And drum roll. How about if you're asking your audience some questions, or asking people to participate in the chat, and do you hear the crickets? Okay, so you get it. These are fun. And then, of course, just all these silly little add-ons. Okay, so that is really fun. I think I'm going to do a screenshot of that. Okay, so Hangout Toolbox is an important one, so we're going to click on that. So I'm going to start from the left. So if I click on this little profile thing where it says lower third, what that means is I've got my name, and then I'm going to put jenlehner.com, and I'm going to change the color to my pink, which is EC2390. Okay, and then I've put my name in there, and I've put my website in there. Now I'm going to turn it on. Uh-oh, it's backwards. So how do I fix it? Can I tell you, this took me, when I first started with webinars on Google Hangouts, it took me forever to figure this out because it's so tiny. But you see that little tiny next to the toggle switch? You just click on that. And voila. Okay, and of course you could change out the picture right here where it says choose logo. You can make that whatever you want. And then custom overlay is let's see, let me turn this off. And what's great is that you could save these custom overlays. So whenever you go into Hangouts, they're already there for you. I like to create a unique overlay for each of my webinars. I'll show you. I'm going to upload one. All right, so there it is. I'm going to turn it on. So you can create any logo that you want, any overlay that you want that is relevant to your webinar. Have a blast with it. I created this in PicMonkey because in PicMonkey you are allowed to use a transparent background, which is, it makes it much easier if the background is transparent. And you have to play around with the dimensions, but to get this to work, I did 1000 wide pixels by 300 tall. But you'll have to experiment because it really depends on the graphic that you use and the size of your letters as to whether or not it's going to format correctly. But the good news is once you get that right template, then you can save it on your computer in PicMonkey. And well, you can't save it in PicMonkey. You could save it on your computer and just copy it every time you need a new overlay. And let's see, I'm going to save this as test webinar. So as you can see, it's right there. So next time I want to use this and I go to create a custom overlay, it'll be there. You're not able to have your lower third and your custom overlay at the same time. So you kind of have to pick one. So I'm going to go back to this, and then now I'm going to click on sound. You know, it says away mode. I don't really even know what that means. I have never used that. If I think I'm going to cough or sneeze or even take a drink of water, let's see. There. So you can see I've got, this is my Yeti, Blue Yeti that I love microphone. And actually I probably should be talking like this, but I can just press the on and off button really easily. It's in the front of the mic. So I often will do that, especially like if the other guest is, if my guest is talking, I will mute my microphone. Important to remember to unmute yourself, however. I also don't use comment tracker. I'm going to show you what I use for comments. This is just for like if you have questions about Google Hangouts. And these are just some settings. And I've got everything set to off. Okay, so now we're going to go back over here to the left. And I'm going to go up top. And this is a very important feature. So we're going to click on this blue chat box. And over to the right, you'll see this, the right of the screen, this is where your chat is going to happen. So, hey guys, and notice we're not live yet, okay? So I could put some stuff in here before people enter the room. And I can even say, welcome. If you have questions, go ahead and enter them now. Let's see. I will get to them during, or I will get to them during the webinar. There. You can also, you know, plug in links. So let's see. We're going to start screen sharing now. That is the second from the top icon that is green. And if I hover, it tells me that that's screen share. You risk two things with sharing your screen if you aren't careful. One is you share your screen and then you can't get back into the webinar room. Like you lose it on your desktop. Number two is that you can accidentally close out of your webinar. And I've done this, and actually once you do that, if you close out of your Hangout, the webinar is over. So we don't want that to happen. And so I'm going to show you ways to prevent that and the steps you need to take to screen share. So I'm going to click on the green button, and it asks me if I want to share the entire screen or just the Google Hangout screen. I want to share the entire screen, and I click share. At this point, I warn my audience and I say, hey guys, you're going to go into sort of an infinity tunnel, but it's only going to last a second. Bear with me. And then I click present to everyone. And it tells me you are screen sharing and presenting to everyone. Okay. And then notice at the bottom, this little blue button at the bottom of my screen that says stop sharing. Okay. That is important. All right. Now I'm going to hover my mouse. I'm going to just sort of drag my mouse to the top of the screen, and then a browser, the what do you call it, menu bar comes up. So there's Chrome, File, Edit, view history, all that good stuff. And so I'm going to go to File, New Tab. And usually before I start a webinar, as I have done, as you can see, I have tabs already open so that I don't have to make my audience wait any longer than necessary or wait for pages to load. So let's suppose I wanted to tell you about our awesome Facebook community, The Front Row, which if you're not a member, stop by and join us. We talk about the latest, greatest digital marketing strategies that are around, and we have a good time. I can just easily go over to this tab and talk about this page, and then I can go to this tab and talk about this page. And now I'm done. I'm finished sharing my screen. So what I will do is I will go down here to the blue button and click Stop Sharing, okay? But nothing happened. But my camera is on. I know that, well, you can't see my camera, but my light is on my camera, so I know that I am being seen now by my audience. And of course, I did just deliberately click Stop Sharing. And so now I'm going to click on Google Chrome one time, and voila, I'm back, okay? So in review, I went to the bottom, I clicked Stop Broadcast, and then I clicked one time on the Google Chrome icon, and it took me back to the room, okay? I really think that's sort of the most important part of doing a Hangout, doing a live Hangout on the air, because it has happened. Really kind of will make you panic when you can't find your way back. So that is all of the technical, those are all the tools inside the Hangout. Now I'm going to click Start Broadcast. And I better get this right, because I'm only going to do this for a second, because I don't, want anybody to see this, since it is a test. So I'm going to click Start Broadcast. It tells me right-hand corner, I'm going live. And now it tells me that the Hangout is live on the air. Down here, I'm going to be able to see the viewers that I have in the room. It says there's one viewer. That's really not true. It's kind of complicated, but I went and clicked on my own Hangout. That's me that had clicked on that earlier. So there's no viewers yet. Now, if that number goes up, we know that someone out there who just stumbled upon my webinar, my test webinar, is there. And that's really it. And if you look at the very top here, at the top of the screen, I can invite people into the room here. I can mute my microphone here. I could turn my camera off here. Adjust bandwidth usage, never did that. And settings, I can just double check my settings. I'm not using an onboard camera. I'm using an external camera. And I'll just click Save. And that's it. Now you see that red button? That is the end. So if I click that button, then we are done. No more webinar. Okay. So, it's very important that you stay away from that red button unless you're ready to end. And then we have an opportunity to stop the broadcast here. And this is where I choose to end the broadcast. So I go down here and I click Stop Broadcast. And it tells me that it has been successfully terminated. Now, what is going to happen is that there's two places I need to go right away, because I don't want anybody to necessarily see this, right? And there's a number of reasons why you might want to do this, but let's suppose you had a big, maybe you only had 4 people show up for your webinar, but you're planning on remarketing the webinar after the fact, and you want to edit out, maybe you did some major, you had some major goof, or what I almost always go back and edit out the beginning part of my webinar, where it's like, hey Cindy, when I'm welcoming everybody to the room, can you see me? Can you hear me? Nobody really wants to see that in the replay. And it's just kind of, it's really a favor to your viewers and your audience if you can just sort of take a minute to just chop that out of the front, because they don't have to, try to fast forward to the part where you get to the good stuff. So I always do that bare minimum. And I usually will maybe even go in and add some text overlay at the end that just says, a website or call to action or whatever. So, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to New tab, and I'm going to go to my Google Hangout. My Google Plus page, because what happens is the webinar automatically goes to Google Plus, your Google Plus page that is linked up with the email address that you started the webinar with, and it is recording to YouTube. Okay, right now as I speak, it's being recorded to YouTube, and because it wasn't very long at all, it's probably will be done in like a minute. So here it is, and if I click play, I'm going to see everything that we just recorded, and I am going to now delete this event. Okay, so that is deleted, and now I need to go to YouTube, and then I'm going to go to my channel, and then I'm going to go to Video Manager, and there it is. Okay, so I'm going to click delete. Okay, so now what if you want to schedule your webinar in advance? So let's take a look at that. So we're going to click on our Google Plus. We're going to Home. We're scrolling down to Hangouts. And then we're going to go to Hangouts on the Air. Create a Hangout on the Air. We're going to name it Test 2. And then we're going to say starts later. Okay, so then we're going to pick our time. So let's say it's May, we're going to do it on May the 30th. And then we make our time 7 p.m. And you'll see that that's set for Eastern time. And it's set for 30 minutes, but I could change it to whatever it's going to be, but let's leave it at 30 minutes. And we're going to leave our audience again at public. And then we're going to click share. And then we could, again, just like before, add our trailer. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click links. Okay, so the link that I want to grab is the event page. Okay, and I'm going to click copy. And this is the link that you'll put all over the place to promote your webinar. This is the link that you're going to insert into your email and on your Facebook page and everywhere else. There's also a way to, and I've got a tutorial about how to do this on my website at jenlehner.com under the blogs that shows you how to grab the link and put it on all your social channels and be live on your Facebook page, on Twitter, in a Facebook group, on Google Hangouts, and on YouTube simultaneously. But if you do that and you advertise it in that fashion, then you don't really have a way to collect people's email addresses. What I suggest is grabbing the link that I just showed you for the event page, and then I would actually put that into an opt-in, like a lead page form or a landing page that you create on your website, so that in order for people to join the webinar, they have to give you their email address, because you do want to be able to stay in touch with your peeps. So that is basically how you would schedule it in advance. And then when it's time to start the webinar, so you would just click start, and then it would take you back to the Hangout room, and you would set everything up just the way that we did the first time around. You guys asked some really good questions when we were in the chat room. I'm going to open up the chat room, and I tried to answer everybody's questions. So so make sure that I didn't skip anybody. If I did, just rewrite your question below. But here's the thing about webinars. So that was a step-by-step, showed you everything you need to know, but I understand that like you're not going to get it the first time. And the other thing is, as wonderful as webinars, wait a minute. There is a delay. Sorry, let me wait for the sound to come back. Let me type that in. Sorry. You'll be able to hear in a minute. Meant to warn you about that. I'm not muted. Just let me know when you guys can hear me again. Still? Okay, good. That's one of the things when you go from the video to the to live again, it's a little bit there's a little bit of a delay and sometimes it's sort of glitchy. I meant to warn you. So make a note of that. Warn your people. Okay, good. Everybody can hear me. So here's the thing. Webinar, no, you got those of you who cannot hear me or see me, hit refresh, but it should come back. Okay. So I'm not going to look over there because it's distracting me. Sorry, and I'm not muted and I don't know what to do. So I'm just, the show has to go on. Okay. Lesson number 14. You just got to keep going. You got to roll with it. So the thing about webinars is, you know, they're not impossible. Anyone can do them. It's like anything else. Nothing's easy the first time you do it. You just have to practice it and you have to put yourself out there and you can't wait for, you know, when you lose weight and, you know, when you get your roots colored, like you just have to do it and put yourself out there, whether you're behind your screen share or whether you're face to face looking ridiculous with a backpack and binoculars and a baseball hat. So, but the other thing about webinars is that for as wonderful as they are, people are not going to drop out of the sky and attend your webinar. And so Heidi asked a really good question in the group. Heidi, you can't hear? Yeah, hit refresh. I hate that. Anyway, so they're not going to drop out of the sky. And that was all about Pinterest. So there'll be advanced techniques for the people who need a little more. And then I'm going to have modules are there for people who need just the fundamentals. And then our guest counselors, camp counselors, Valerie Shootman is including her entire Power Editor course plus membership into her Facebook ads mastermind. So she's live in there 24. I mean, she's not there 24/7, but she answers questions 24/7 about your Facebook ads, and she works with you one-on-one. Vivica Von Rosen is going to talk to us about LinkedIn, and a lot of online marketing people don't think that they need LinkedIn, but I've got loads to tell you about LinkedIn. It is fantastic. So much, you get so much free reach with LinkedIn. And I'm going to do a tutorial about that in the front row soon. Sue Zimmerman, who is the Instagram expert, is going to be teaching us Instagram. And Adam Linkenauger, who is, a lot of people don't know Adam, but he is got amazing YouTube tips. And he's the bonus, and it's a bonus video that he's doing especially for us. And he's going to teach us the bracelet and charm technique on YouTube. So this is it, and it's going to be, let me get down here. Carts are open right now, and it's $467 for one-time payment and 2 payments of $267. And now I need to go back to the Hangout because I've got to send something into the, let's see, stop sharing. Okay. And so now I am going to send in, this is another cool thing you can do with Webinar Jam, is you can put in offers. So do you guys see that? So this is, I'm only going to do this one time. I am going to be doing other webinars when I'm going to be promoting this for sure, but I'm not doing this discount. This is just for today, and it's going to end in actually at 2 o'clock. And that's not, it's just automated to shut off on the sales page at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we're going to do Q&A, and I want to go in, and you can ask me about camp. You can ask me about webinars. You can ask me about whatever. I'll stay here until all your questions are answered. And then we are going to pick a winner from someone who is here today, who stays to the end, to get a free membership to camp for the whole camp. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to go back to Evergreen. Michelle, what do you mean by Evergreen? Do you mean is it lifetime? Because it's not lifetime. You have access to everything for 1 year. I have 2 reasons for that. Number one, a lifetime is a long time, and the only person I'm committing to a lifetime is my husband, and sometimes that's even hard. So so it's only 1 year, or I shouldn't say only, that's pretty good. It's a year. And then if it goes longer than that, because I've been a part of lifetime courses, you do not, you'll let it sit there forever. So, so you get 1 year access to it. And then, and there's a free there's a private Facebook group. Y'all, this is my first launch. So I know that I didn't pitch that too awfully well, but it is a good course. Can you use the Google effects in Webinar Jam? Oh, yeah. So totally. Like, I'm in Webinar Jam right now. And as a matter of fact, quick, let me go to Google Effects. In fact, it's making me load it again. And this is how long it takes to load the Google Effects. There, done. So let me put on my party hat. And oh, I totally should have done this when I revealed the sales page, and I should have done this. Oh, it's not working. Did you guys hear that? There we go. Yeah. Okay, we don't want to get distracted. I told you I like the gadgets. Okay, let me back up here. Okay. Yay, Lisa, I'm glad. All right, I answered Michelle's Evergreen program. Can you use the Google Effects? Yes, I did that. Do the participants see each other in a webinar? For instance, if I only have 5 people, will they see that? Okay, you invite them in. There's a plus sign at the top of your screen, and you will invite them in using a Gmail address. Okay, they have to have a Gmail address, and they will be like in little boxes across the bottom of your screen. And I think you can have up to 9 presenters. And if you think about it, anything more than that would be very confusing and hard to manage. And then when you click on them, like you as the host of the webinar can pop them up big to your audience who you've invited with the link that I showed you earlier from your event page. So it does get kind of confusing, and you probably won't remember what I just said when you go to do your webinar, because sometimes I still have to refer to my cheat sheet just to make sure, because it's little subtle differences like that can really make a big difference, which is why camp is so practicing is so important. Marissa said camp is $497 but $50 off the price. Yes, so it's $497 for a one-time payment, and then you get $50 off now till 2 p.m. and then that's it. I'm not gonna do any more discounts. And yeah, that's it. And then if you only have a one-time payment option today with that link, with the payment plan, it's $297. I can't even see it. Hold on, let me look at it. It's two payments of $267. So honestly, just what Valerie is including, like both of her courses, she sells for $197 each that are embedded, and then each of the people presenting, like Anna C. Bennett, the Pinterest expert who is endorsed by Pinterest, her 1 hour with her, a course with her is like $297. So there's a lot of value built in. I'm able to offer this at a price where everybody else is doing these courses for $997 because nobody knows who I am. And so it just really makes sense. Wow, so much. Surely it would be, surely it was this in our MLM, but I need to grow the video again. I can't think of anything better for an MLM business. I mean, you have a product and you have a story, and whether it's the story or the product or both that you need to communicate with people. This is like being able to take the stage and get a microphone and fill up that room, that auditorium, with as many people as you want to reach, and you can be barefooted. Like I'm barefooted right now. Let's see. Okay, let me back up. Exactly, Michelle. Everything's going to change. So, I mean, I'm not going to, things will be updated, but there would be no way to offer, I don't think, this and be honest about it and say it's lifetime. Yeah, you just can't honestly say that. Did you put the offer in Webinar Jam? Okay. Did you put the offer in Webinar Jam before you started it, or can you go in and add it when you're live? Where do you click to have the that pop up? So when you're in Webinar Jam, which for all the people who are completely new to this platform, Webinar Jam is an overlay on Google Hangouts. They're two different things. In Google Hangout, in Webinar Jam, there's 5 control boxes, or 5 little boxes on the right-hand side. It says chat, room, polls. I'm going to do a poll right now. Okay. And that offer that I did do that ahead of time because I wanted to brand it with a picture and make the button say what I wanted, but you can absolutely do an offer on the fly. And then I probably need to be picking the winner soon. Hold on. Let's see. I'm going to create a poll, and I'm going to say, I am going to say, what do we want to ask? Let's ask, will you be doing a webinar in the next month? Yes, no. I'm going to make the result public at the end of the poll. Okay, and start poll. Okay, so you guys should see that poll. So I just did that on the fly. I could also do that in advance. It looks like Andrea, somebody has their hand up. Let's see. Oh. I do have an affiliate link, Michelle. Thank you for asking. I don't think I've ever used it, but it's if you click, it's supposed to be linked with this webinar right now. So hopefully you can see a Webinar Jam logo and you can click on it. They do give you a 30-day money back guarantee. Liz, there will be a replay, and it'll only be available for about 48 hours. I'm going to be sending it. I like to, if you notice in the video, I will be chopping off that front end where you meet and greet. Nobody wants to see that. They just want you to get right to the stuff. And I'll chop off maybe some of this stuff at the end. I'm answering questions, so I don't know. And then it'll be sent out, you know, by like, I would say 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, and then it'll be available for about 48 hours. The backgrounds, I'm going to give you the link again. Let's see. This is an affiliate link too. It's called Society 6. Does the audience see each other, says Maisha. No, like you don't see anybody right now. Only if someone, if you can see their little square on the bottom of the screen, like if I had a person in here right now, then you would see that person would see, I'm moving too much and making the screen blurry. The answer is no. Your audience does not see each other. I have, Michelle asked, do I have a cheat sheet PDF? I have, yes, I will put something together. But you know what I have is that checklist, and it really helps me. I don't have the step-by-step. What I do have actually is if you go to my blog at jenlehner.com, and it's my very top blog entry, and it's all about, I did a really comprehensive PDF that is there for you to download, and it shows you how to set up a Google. This is going to blow some of you. Some of you are going to say, stop it. But I'm just telling you, because it's there for down the road. You set up a Google Hangout live on the air, and then take the link, and you can put it on Twitter, on your Facebook page, on your Facebook, in a Facebook group, and then and YouTube and Google Plus, and you're live across all those channels at the same time. Like your webinar is broadcast like on the Twitter feed, on your Facebook business page. It's really very cool. And when I discovered it, you would have thought by my reaction that I had discovered gravity. It was quite exciting. Is there any way to hide the number of attendees so not everyone can see how many people are there? I don't think so, Mel. Unfortunately, might be worth a Google search, but I don't think so. That's something that's, I'm glad you pointed that out. That is something that you can do, like, and Webinar Jams is going to be offering evergreen opportunities soon, so that you can do a replay, and they might already offer it. I'm not quite sure. I haven't used that yet, but where basically you promote the webinar again, and it's actually it's a replay, but you can promote it like it's live. I mean, it's the same process. So you send it out again through Google Hangouts or GoToWebinar, and then people register, and they would just see, they either in GoToWebinar, they don't see how many people are in the room, and then in Webinar Jam, I don't know if they've taken care of that feature or not, but worth looking into. Bianca, how do you edit your video? Do you save it to your PC before you delete your event page and your YouTube channel? Okay, number one, I edit my video in ScreenFlow. I have a Mac. You have a PC, then you would use Camtasia, is the software most people use to edit, and it's very easy. And let's see. Do you save it to your PC before you delete from your event page and your YouTube channel? Yes. So like, for example, what's going to happen when I leave this webinar is I am going to go, well, actually my assistant is going to do this, is straight over to Google Hangouts. I mean, to YouTube. And she is going to make this private. And then she is going to, so don't go running over there trying to beat her to the punch, please. And then she is going to download it. And so I will have it. And actually, we may upload it to like Wistia, but yes, I do. If it's something I want to save, I always download it to my computer, always. My course, Maria, will be delivered. So what's going to happen is carts close June 15th, and the very first campfire is going to be on 15th at noon Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be doing we're going to be doing a sort of like set up all your channels class, and we're going to be doing talking about mindset and an overview, basically camp orientation. And all the webinars are going to be recorded. And then on top of that, there will be modules that I will create and have created for each week. So and the webinars will be recorded and there for you to look at as much as you would like. So if you can't make the noon broadcast, it's no big deal. And then in the Facebook group, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. And for those of you who are in my group, The Front Row, and if you're not, you want to join, it's facebook.com/groups/in the front row. I'll put the link right here. But I do lots of tutorials and anyway, the people in the front row know that I am very interactive, and I over deliver to a fault, actually, I think. Membership site. It's not really a membership site, Maria. It's, oh, I see. Are you asking, will it be delivered membership site? Yeah. So you're going to be given a login password. You'll get an email as soon as you register, and you'll get a it'll have your password, your login credentials. And when you get to the membership site, all the course material up to that point will be available for you. And it will continue to, get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then available to you for the entire year. Let me tell Carla to refresh. Carla, refresh. Is the invite that asks you for your email part of Google or Webinar Jam, or neither? Okay. So what Walter is asking about is basically the opt-in portion. It's actually a huge portion, and it's a lot to talk about, and more than we probably need to talk about here. But basically, it could be as simple. So what you opted into to be a part of this webinar was part of Webinar Jam. And that is part of the reason why a big part of the reason why people purchase Webinar Jam is because it takes care of everything. It will create a landing page for you, and then, which is basically got all the information about your webinar, and then it gives you a link. Then you take that link and you place it all over the place. You put it in your emails, you put it on your social channels, and then when people click on the link, that walk before you can run. I will do a module on how to use Webinar Jam for if and when you're ready to buy it. But you do not need to have that before you start camp. You don't have to have anything before you start camp. You just have to have, if you look at this at the page that I showed you, the campwithjen.com, it tells you who it's for and who it's not for. And it's really not for everybody. I mean, if you're skeptical about social media in general, if you are skeptical about Facebook ads, you don't need to take the course. I mean, I'm not going to be there to try and convince anyone. I mean, I'm just there to give you really precise, specific strategies that are going to work. Okay, let's see. Sorry, you guys. I'm just trying to catch up. Oh, that's a good question. Tess said, do you need a YouTube channel to do this? For Google Hangouts, you do. That's a really good question. And that is YouTube and Google Hangouts are married to each other. And so, yeah, so when you set up a Gmail account, Google automatically gives you a YouTube account, the option for a Google Plus account, and access to Google Hangouts and a million other things that they have, like Google Drive. And Peter, that's another great way to do a demonstration is, or instead of Keynote, he had asked earlier what I used for my presentation. I use Keynote. Sometimes I'll go into Evernote. They have a presentation mode. That's how I do my slides, but you can also just open up a Google Doc. Essentially anything that is on your screen, when you do a screen share, you're sharing that with your audience. So you could get pretty creative. Okay, Maria, I think I've answered that already. I'm not sure. I don't want to be redundant, but the drip feed, there's going to be a lot of content when you first sign on that is just there. And then, but the topic each week. So the first week is more general, and it's setting up accounts and mindset and like overview. And then after that, the next class is going to be Valerie Shootman. And Valerie did all the ads for, not all the ads, but for John Lee Dumas and Sue Zimmerman. I mean, she's like a Facebook ads dynamo. And you'll see like all of her credentials are listed there. So she's going to be teaching us the second week. And then the third week is, so that it'll be dripped in that sense, you know, that each week we're going to be talking about a different channel. Let's see, let me go back to, then it's LinkedIn. Then the next week is Pinterest. The next week is Twitter with yours truly. And then Instagram with Sue Zimmerman. And then YouTube is a bonus. So I'm not sure when that's going to be actually on the site. Okay, I tested a webinar. Patty, no, you don't have ScreenFlow. What you have already on your Macs, built into your Macs, another good question, is a software called QuickTime. And QuickTime, it's totally free and it's in your Mac. And you open up QuickTime and go to like, well, I don't want to lose you guys, but I think it's like file record or screen record. You can record your screen, you can record yourself, and you can edit it in QuickTime as well. It's just not as easy as ScreenFlow, but I used it for about a year, and I refused to pay money for ScreenFlow because I was like, you know, QuickTime is free and it's in my Mac, but I'm so much more efficient with ScreenFlow, and you can add, like with ScreenFlow, you can add titles and text and all that kind of stuff. Joanna, I tested a webinar with slides, PowerPoint presentation last week and had trouble doing the screen share. Have you experienced that? Joanna, I've experienced everything that is bad. Okay. So, and that, you know, mindset, having the right mindset is a huge part of being successful with webinars, because it's really cumbersome and it's very aggravating, but I want to try and take as much of that and alleviate as much of that aggravation as you can. The thing with screen share is really just getting confused because you've got 12 different buttons happening plus that infinity tunnel. So, so it's really just about practice. I don't think that you have anything, there was probably nothing like wrong with your software, you know, or there could have been, something could have gotten stuck in that moment. Sherry, I was in a webinar with a prominent person and then signed up for another with a different name, only to find it was the same webinar again. It was very disappointing not to be told it was a recording of a webinar I was in. Sherry, I know what you mean. This is the thing though, like personally, it doesn't bother me because I'm there to get information. So, you know, I don't really, but it's a preference thing. I mean, I don't really care. You know, if Amy Porterfield is giving a webinar on anything, I'm there. And, you know, I don't know if she does it anymore. I think she does because she's got like some sort of Facebook thing that she runs on an ongoing basis 24/7. It's always running with a Facebook ad. So I really just want the information, and I want good information. So the people who deliver that, I'm okay with them being recorded. Back on the connection, we use Wi-Fi. Therefore, you don't recommend that because of it hanging and dropping. Okay, so most of us all use Wi-Fi, but you have a router. And on the back of that is an opportunity for you to stick. I wish I could show you, but then we get disconnected. But you just, it looks like a phone cable, and you just stick it from your computer into that. And then you go into your computer and you turn off Wi-Fi. You know, the little Wi-Fi icon that has like the rainbow, the rainbow thing, that like pie slice with rainbow stripes in it. You click on that and then you choose Ethernet, and that's it. And it's just the same internet service that is coming through to your house, but you are tapped in with a wire as opposed to, signal. Jen, do I have to have a YouTube channel? Yes, we talked about that. You know what? Somebody asked that, Jolie, the other day in front row, I think, and I don't remember what the answer is, but I'm sure there is. Okay, so I think I don't want to make you guys wait any longer. It's already been an hour and 18 minutes. So I'm going to draw my winner. And the way that I'm going to do that is with random.org. So that it is truly random. And so I see that, let's see. This person is going to receive free membership into the camp. Let's see. And this is, and while I'm here, while we're doing this, feel free to keep your questions coming. Random.org. If you go to random.org, it's how to pick a winner. And then you go to sorry, you guys. Let's see here. Once I get it, it only takes a second. I practiced. Sequence generator. Okay, let's see here. Okay. So we have, let me see who's in the room. Okay, 51 people. Okay, we have 51 people left in the room. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 19. Delana is the winner of the free membership into Social Media Summer Camp with Jen. So congratulations. Yay. That's great. And Delana, if you would please send me an email with your email address. So I should have done the drum roll, Walter. Is she, I hope she's in here. Delana. Okay. Okay. You know what? Let's see. I've got to have a way to, okay, I see. I've got a way to contact her. Okay. Let's do questions, you guys. I need to get, I've got Delana's email address. Okay. So any more questions? So what's going to happen now is I am going to, as soon as I end the webinar, I've got Candace standing by, and she's going to go and she's going to process this, and we're going to create the replay, and then I'm going to send it out to the entire list of people who attended the webinar and who didn't. Pick another. Let's see here. You know, technically she's showing as being in the room, you guys. So yeah, I just didn't think about that. Like, what if the person doesn't answer up? But I better honor it. I don't want to get in any kind of, you know, legal trouble. I've announced her as the winner. So, and it's showing. Oh, there she is. Yay! Sorry, I was afraid you had left us. Okay, congratulations. Okay, guys. Anything else? Any other questions? Carts close on the 15th. So you guys, you know, feel free to, I know that the bad part of that $50 off offer was that you didn't really have a chance to explore the page in depth. So, so take your time and do that, and let me know, shoot me an email if you have any questions. It will, Lisa, it will, that must be the $497 will be a typo. When you actually get to the payment, it should take the discount off, because it's not 2 o'clock yet. So I did test that link. It's the right link. We created a special link that expires after 2 hours. I mean, it was active at noon, and then it expires at 2. The selector that I use, Angela, is called random.org. It's a very ugly little website. It's very 1992, but it does this thing. Go to drawings, and then the first one is like how to pick a winner. And then what it does is gives you a random, you type in how many people are in your room, and then it gives you a random sequence of numbers. And you start from, you know, I guess if you were going to do 5 winners, you would start with the top 5 or whatever the order is. And so I just picked the top number, which was 19, and Delano was the 19th person in the on the list. That's it. How many people do you have working with you when you are doing a webinar? I have Zilcho. It is a good idea to have someone in the chat room, especially when you first start doing this, because you do want to be able to give some TLC. I'll tell you one thing, the opportunity to do a injected video and then answer questions during the chat is a huge advantage. Really, really huge. Another great way people are using those videos, and I was talking to my friend Jaleel. He's not in the room today because he's having a webinar right now too, but he said he has a pre-recorded video of people saying nice things about him. So when he is launching something and wanting to sort of give social proof, then he plugs that in to the webinar, and he lets his audience see people, you know, brag about him. Basically, I thought that was kind of a neat idea. But you know, you could just, or you know, just being able to show, even if you're not selling something, you know, let's suppose you have a cause that you care about, or a performance or a piece of art, or you know, something. It's just a great way to be able to share together with a million people. I mean, not really a million people, but however many people in your webinar can watch whatever it is you want to share with them outside of just you. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Remember, go to the front row. I put the link in there earlier. Join us. I think you're all in the front row though. Delana, I will email you all of the info, assuming that the email that you signed up with for this webinar is the one you want me to contact you with. Okay, so now Blaze, are you still here? Let me see. Blaze, you are still here, I think. So Blaze is having a Periscope in a moment. on your side, are you able to see all the emails of the people sitting in? No. The reason that I have all your email addresses because you couldn't be in this webinar if you didn't enter your email address to sign up for it. So it's just your name is showing in the chat bar, but as soon as I leave this room, or I could open up another window and see everyone who registered, and the email would be there. You are welcome, Delana. I'm so excited when you do a webinar. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Yep. Yeah, really helpful. Oh, goody, Maisha. Well, as soon as you just asked to join the front row, that's great. And as soon as I close out of here, I will approve your membership. And I'm so glad that it was helpful. The number one thing with webinars, and really it really is getting past the number one, just expose, you're so vulnerable. Like when you're here, and every single time before a webinar starts, I'm very nervous because, you know, we like to be in control, and sometimes things are outside of your control. So with practice and preparation, you're able to minimize that as much as possible, but stuff always goes wrong. It just does. I always say the beauty of the way this all works is like this. When we first start out with these tools and building our brand and in online marketing, we don't have any followers. So if you do a webinar and you mess up, who cares? Probably nobody's seeing it. Just do it anyway. And the same with Twitter. If you send out a goofy tweet, or you format it incorrectly, no big deal, because nobody's following you on Twitter. By the time you get followers, then you pretty much know what you're doing. And so it's less inclined to happen. And so it's kind of nice how that works. Okay. So I don't guess I missed anyone. Oh, let's look at the results of our poll. Huh. So 79% of you said yes, not yes, that you will be doing a webinar in the next month. That is great. And I would really love it if you would somehow tag me or invite me and just let me know how it goes. I would love to check it out and see how things go for you. For more information about what? Lily? Is it Lily or Lely? Says, for more information, can we utilize the Front Row Facebook group? Well, absolutely. I mean, you're welcome to the Front Row anytime. That's information that I've made. It's a private group, but I'll approve your membership. I'll see you over there, and you'll be invited into the group. And there's a lot of information there. What's going to be different about Social Media Summer Camp, as instead of all the information I've provided in the Front Row, is that the Front Row is it's called the Front Row because it's sort of like, the idea is that when you're on the front row, you get to see things first. You're getting like the latest, best information. You have a clear view of what's right there. And that was my whole objective. So I sort of post stuff as I think of it. I'm like, oh, I need to tell everybody in the front row about this, or I need to tell them about this. And it's not super organized. It's just like, we could be talking about live streaming with Periscope or Meerkat, or we could be talking about optimizing your Facebook page. I mean, it's really pretty random. But what I am able to offer to people both there and in the course is really just a very distilled, crystallized set of strategies to just get there faster. Not a shortcut, mind you, but just to get where you want to be faster. I mean, I look at some of the, when I look back on where I've been and building my brand and growing my email list and, all the things that I've learned, I just, it's one of those things, like we always say, is like, oh, if I knew then what I know now, but it's true. you know, I have distilled things down, and I have very clear strategies on, you know, helping people get to where they want to be. And that's the feedback that I get from my clients and my audience, is that they appreciate the clarity. Not to say I'm not a chatterbox. Brooke, I'm completely stoked about this. I've had Webinar Jam for 6 months, and I messed up several times, but will walk away today feeling confident about trying it again. Awesome, Brooke. You know, and it's like, you know, the old, I mean, that sales quote that is like, I don't know who said it, but it was some salesperson, maybe it was a cold caller or something, that said that, you know, every no they got was inspiring to them, because they knew it took on average 10 no's before they got a yes. Well, that's how you can look at your webinars and all the mistakes that you make as you fumble through all this, is that, you know, nothing was easy the first time, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So all the mistakes that you've made in webinar jams, or the fumbles that you've had, it's all going to come together. And actually, I didn't fully get Webinar Jam when I first joined, and also it's gotten so much better and continues to get better. They only unveiled this Webinar Jam studio in the last 6 months, and it's just phenomenal. But they didn't use before. They did not have the video injection and the polls and the pop-ins and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you could even if you wanted to create scarcity, they have this option where you could put in a pop-in, like let's say that the summer camp option that that I just put in. I mean, the promo, I could put like, I'm only selling 10 of these, right? Like only 10 of these are I'm only opening this up to 10 people, and it'll show how many are left. But gosh, I don't know. I think that would be kind of scary, because like, what if nobody buys it and it's just sitting there? You're like trying to create scarcity and nobody buys it. So that would be a little bit embarrassing, but it's a feature. You know, it's also interesting, the numbers. It's very much a numbers game on a webinar. So I had, I think, just under 500 people. Let's see. 442 people registered for the webinar through Webinar Jam. And we had, I'll get the information when I sign off, but I think maybe we maybe had 68 or 70 people show up out of that many people. Number one is people know they're going to get the webinar. And so you really need a lot more people in your webinar. If there's a certain number you need to make a sale or whatever, let me make this, let me say this more clearly. Usually it's like 30% of the people or less show up for a live webinar. So you need to not get your feelings hurt, because it can be very, you can feel rejected if you don't know that, but that's just what happens. And you're probably guilty of that as well as I am. I'll sign up for a webinar and then I'll get busy, you know, and I just can't make it, but I know the replay's coming. So, you know, so it's fine. So let's say if you know that 1% of your audience in a webinar, which is about the case, 1 to 2% of the people in your webinar are going to purchase whatever it is that you're selling, then you can go from there. So then how many, and if 30% show up for your webinar, see, so it, that's how it typically plays out. Of course, it's going to be different across professions and offerings and stuff like that. Okay. Patty, I've been so reluctant to try Google Hangouts, but now I don't feel overwhelmed in trying it. And it's free. Amen, Patty. Brooke, I haven't tried the new version yet and have been nervous. There's nothing to be nervous about. What's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen that's bad. You know, definitely practice. And in camp, we're going to have webinar buddies. So people will be matched up and they can practice with each other. And yes, it's true that it's not private. So it is out for the world to see. But in my experience, and that's a lot of practice webinars that I've done, maybe like the random person will come along. But as soon as they come in, they go back out because they see that it's a completely boring test that you're doing. They don't usually stick around. And then once you do that a few times and even put on a sticky note, that like number 1, number 2, number 3, and stick it on your computer so you literally know exactly where to click and when. Oh, and that's the other thing I wanted to say is that unlike public speaking in front of, hundreds of people, there's lots of ways to cheat a little bit when you do a webinar, in that when you're doing the screen share, you're allowed, you have presenter notes on PowerPoint and Keynote. So you're able to put all these notes that sort of go with the slide. Now, I like a full screen, and if we're sharing a screen, that means you're going to see my presenter notes as well. But that's okay, because I have my laptop, and I have a second screen, which is something else. I'm glad we're talking about it. A second screen is really important because for a lot of reasons, you can, it's just nice to have that extra resource. If I needed to, I could go in and do a quick Google search or whatever I needed to find information, like I just did with the random.org. But also, I have my Keynote over here. So if I see a slide and I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I was supposed to say on that slide, I can glance over here and look at my presenter notes that matches up with this screen, and it's polished, and no one knows that I'm doing that because they can't see my face. I want to do camp, but I'm still building my new business idea. I'm close and ready to work hard. Join anyway, or next, or wait for next year. I mean, the thing is that this is all about literacy. So it's like, should you learn to read next year, or should you learn to read now? I really believe that. I just believe that that you can't take control of your message if you don't have control or mastery of the tools. So you have like the whole entire world right here. The whole, literally, planet Earth is right here. But if you don't know how to get to the people who want to enjoy your information in your new business, or just hear your message, like forget business, like whatever your message is, whatever your talents are, if you cannot get to those people and sort of create your path towards your ultimate goal, then it doesn't matter how good our stuff is, because it's just not going to be seen. However, having said that, I mean, only you can answer that, because I don't know your, I don't know what your needs are. I would just say that it is about literacy. It's not just about building your Facebook page for that particular company right now. It's knowing, and the other thing I will say is that once you do go through the steps of setting up your social media and understanding how Twitter works and why Twitter can cause a revolution to happen across, an entire region of the earth in a matter of weeks, is, once you start to understand, then it really gives you, it's very empowering. And I just totally forgot what I was going to say after that. There was a really good point that I was going to make. It'll come back to me. I forgot. I'm sorry. Please clarify for me, is Webinar Jam a separate software or webinar platform within Google Hangouts? Okay, so Google Hangouts is free. Anyone in the world can use it. Webinar Jam is it's a service, so like you pay by the year, but it's also like a piece of software. But it's like if you were to have a picture, okay, like a Polaroid picture, and then you went out and bought a beautiful frame and you stuck it around the Polaroid picture. The Polaroid picture is the Google Hangout, and the frame is Webinar Jam. And what they have done is allowed for you to use all those cool tools and features that are available in Google Hangouts, but they've added stuff all around that frame that are great additions. Being able to capture email addresses, do the promotions, have a much better chat room than the one that Google Hangouts has. just, you know, it's more. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. This is, and now I remember what I was going to say. When you learn the stuff about Twitter and the revolution and everywhere where I was going off on that tangent, is that what happens is you begin to think computationally, right? And I don't want to get too far out there, but everything starts to make sense once you understand one really well. You just start to see how it all kind of works together, and that is so much more important than going and saying I need a bunch of likes on my Facebook page and then being all, you know, crazy with, you know, getting a bunch of likes on your Facebook page. Why do you need a bunch of likes on your Facebook page? Do you really need likes on your Facebook page? You know, they're really not so very important, actually. So I talk a lot about that and how likes are nice, but it's absolutely not the objective. It's sort of it's a byproduct, and it's a good thing, but it's not what you need to get to your ideal client. You don't need a bunch of likes, and you don't need to be worried about that, but that's all part of seeing the big picture. And, you know I talk to people all the time who really don't want to mess with this. They just, and it's understandable. It's, they don't want to, they would rather just hire this stuff out. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but whether you hire it out or you go to Elance or whatever, you find a way to wiggle out of it and just say, you know, I just don't want to deal with the social media stuff. It is so important to understand it either way, because you won't know the questions to ask. You won't know what you really can aspire to. It's just like you don't know what you don't know, and that's it. None of us know what we don't know. So this is what I should have used in the beginning with the romper room analogy. Okay. You know, I'm going to screen share the page one more time so I can go through it. I might as well. But just jump in if you have any questions outside of this. But I went through that so fast. Okay, so we should all be looking at my screen. I'm going to start at the top. So Valerie's course, I'm excited about everybody, but the fact that both of these courses right now for $197 each. So this is $400 by itself. And it's, you know, there are a lot of Facebook people out there, but Valerie she's such an awesome teacher, and I love the accessibility that she's offering us. So her mastermind is for 3 months. And then she also is giving like live recorded calls once a week where you can go in and ask your Facebook ad questions. And with LinkedIn, you know, we always tend to think of it as a place for online marketing. People tend to turn away from it, and they think that this is more for people who have, you know, jobs and that it's a place to just post your resume. And oh boy, it's really one of my favorite channels, because for example, if you use their publishing tool and you just put one of your videos on there and then give it, just a brief couple of paragraphs, and you tag it with some hashtags, it's going to be seen by people who are not your connections on LinkedIn, but who are following that particular hashtag. And people read stuff on LinkedIn. So the other day I did this, and on my blog, I got 30 views. On Facebook, I got a little bit of traffic. I put it on LinkedIn. I got 872 views and 50 comments. And it was incredible. And then those people subscribed to my email list. That's just one way that LinkedIn is great. Sue, you probably all know Sue because she's everywhere, and is the leading expert on Instagram. And we talked about Adam. And so the weeks break down like this, and you're all going to see that on the page, but I just wanted to see if there was something glaring that I missed, but I think we've covered everything. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back to you guys. And let's see, jumped off and on, and there's a link to the sales page so I can read through it. Yes, let me put it again. It's just campwithjen.com, and Jen only has one N. And then there's about 10 minutes left for the special, the promotional $50 off. Okay, that is it. Now I'm going to go watch Blaze do her Periscope, and if you don't know what Periscope is and Meerkat, that's a whole nother thing. It's live streaming. It's amazing. It's like a webinar, except for you just get your phone and you press a button, and it's a video. So it's capturing, it's a broadcast. So whatever you point the phone at, it's not filming, but it's broadcasting. But what is amazing is that you can tweet it out or not, but anybody can watch this anywhere real time. So it's really quite amazing. But they both utilize Twitter to build followers, to follow your Periscope channel, to follow your Meerkat. And people are using these in very ingenious ways to share information and all sorts of good stuff. Okay, thank you, Blaze. So on Twitter, she is at SCHWALLER. And of course, you all can read, so I don't need to even say that. So yeah, that, and I have an article about that as well on our video about how to use Periscope and Meerkat in your marketing, and that's on the front row. Okay, yay. That's it. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. When you go to the sales page, there's a little pop-up box that says chat with Jen. That really is me. Whenever somebody goes and wants to ask a question. Thank you, Delana. I'll be sending you your email. Someone asks a question about camp, my phone goes ding, ding, and then I get alerted, and then I'm able to answer your question right there. It's so cool. It's called Zopim, Z-O-P-I-M, and it's a cool piece of software that you can just, and it was like $8, and you can just embed it on your website. So if you have a promotion going on, every time someone lands on that particular page, you get alerted and you can answer their questions. So, okay, bye, you guys. Really appreciate you sticking around this long. See ya.